Alright guys, launch weekend of Dragon Age Veilguard has officially wrapped, and boy oh boy, things are not looking good for BioWare and the fans and shills for this game. Now again, I've had people in my mentions trying to compare this to other games that have launched on Steam, other games that haven't had as many players concurrently at the same time. It's just laughable that people will try to defend this game as hard as they can, despite the fact that you can currently see with your own two eyes that this game has a deficit in players from its all-time peak yesterday. Now again, of course we could definitely see players continuing to join the fan base year after year, month after month. Of course we will see continued sales down the road of this game. But for a game that allegedly cost $250 to $300 million, you are not going to make your money back with these kind of numbers. This is absolutely abysmal for a game of this size on its opening weekend. But it gets better, because now we are seeing people like Nathan Grayson over at Aftermath, one of these cast-offs from Kotaku from the original Gamergate days, saying that the Dragon Age review controversy shows how much YouTube and Twitter have poisoned video game discourse. Now again, you can feel however you want to about YouTubers, you can call people grifters, you can say that we're all just in it for the money or for fame or whatever you think drives people, but then you have people like Nathan Grayson, who is, without a doubt, one of the most scumbag journalists that has ever existed. He was at the heart of the Gamergate controversy back in 2014, and he is what is absolutely wrong with this industry. And the fact that he is still around today and being taken seriously by anybody is absolutely pathetic. So he goes on to write that these days, when a big new game comes out, you can pretty much roll the dice on what kind of reactionary controversy it will produce. Are we looking at a moral panic over trans characters, diversity consulting, games journalists being too positive, games journalists being too negative, some other quibble that will be forgotten in a week, interchangeably swapped out like grains of sand dragged away by the unrelenting tide? Anyway, the usual suspects got mad about Dragon Age the Veilguard reviews this week. And again, the rest of this, you can pretty much imagine what it says. But the funniest part is that we are seeing that the Dragon Age team over at BioWare has already thrown in the towel, has already said we are not going to have any DLC or expansions, as BioWare has shifted focus to Mass Effect 5. Now again, you might say that this isn't any sort of massive victory for people who have been pushing back against the messaging in this game, but honestly, I'm very much in the opinion that this is a sign that BioWare does not have faith that they can move forward with this franchise anymore. Again, you saw these articles coming out from IGN saying, if this is the final Dragon Age title we get, then it's a wonderful way to send off the series. This is them admitting that they know they have done too much damage to ever bring this franchise back to the core customer base, the core player base that played this previously. And this gets even better, because then you have people like this Ash Parrish over at The Verge pointing out, and this was brought to my attention by Old Man Grimm, that apparently there's a Veilguard plotline in which a formerly sweet and caring individual gets indoctrinated to doing bad things against their own people in service of, quote, making them great again, right down to the fancy headgear by which they announce their allegiance. Unsubtle as F. Somebody asks seriously, and she responds yes. So apparently there is anti-MAGA propaganda in this game, which is absolutely cringe, and I cannot believe how immature and adolescent these people's brains truly are. But it gets even better. This gives you a little bit of insight into the developers and the writers of this game. 19 hours ago, Laureano Gutierrez posted on Twitter, and they say the game is not woke propaganda. Just discovered this while reading through Codex entries, and what he posted is some of the most unbearably cringe dialogue you will ever see. Now, this reads like something out of someone's diary that got leaked onto a Reddit forum for self-help for non-gender conforming individuals who might have a manifesto that you find years later after they've done some terrible things. This is how this reads, I'm not even kidding. Says, Tosh notes, meeting shadow dragons to talk gender stuff. Writing notes to work through gender crap, showing to Rook for help maybe. Mavera's pretty, Tarkin tough, both trans, both open about being trans and said I could share stuff if it helped me on my, again, in air quotes, my journey. I did not ask for a journey. Trans means was other gender, then changed. Wait, no, it was always a new thing. Just now acknowledged, not changing, affirming. Trans woman is woman. Not feeling right in body is dysphoria, whole big thing. Could feel like want to be guy instead of girl, in parentheses, no. Could feel like not connected to body, in parentheses, not everyone does this. Could feel uncomfortable with girls who act more feminine. Then it goes on to say, no, I like girls, girls smell good, but like hanging out with lords more than girls. Ashamed of not doing what your gender, quote, should do, ugh. Getting euphoria is feeling right. Non-binary means not man or woman. Can feel like either. can look like guy, girl, neither. Some use he, she, some swap, some use they, but still single with name. Flynn is non-binary, they are coming this way, confusing but sure. Also gender fluid, feel different on different days, can switch pronouns, don't think that's me. Agender, bigender, demigender, others, lots of different ones. Not me, but okay. Never too late, valid even if no words when younger, blah blah blah. Mavaris saw notes and is mad. Write this down exactly, you're valid. People will say you're not enough this or too much that. Do not let it diminish you. No two journeys are alike. That's wonderful. Embrace it. Did you get all that? Okay, fine. This is absolutely insane behavior, and it is definitely some of the most juvenile amateur crap that I've ever seen written in a video game. And Thomas Mahler, the CEO of Moon Studios, the developer behind Ori and the Will of the Wisps, has absolutely called this crap out time and time again, and now he's saying that I grew up in the 80s, even as a young boy back then, I always thought TV shows were low-effort trash, because every show back then was trying to be as politically correct as possible. Every show was about happy families, trying to paint a perfect picture, always being careful not to talk about anything that could be the slightest controversial. Then The Simpsons and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air dropped, and that stuff suddenly felt radical, because every now and then the writers on these shows dared to approach subjects that were real. And whenever they tried that, it's resulted in episodes that were memorable. I'd like to think it's because the writers managed to put some of their own experiences in there. Then in the late 90s, The Sopranos dropped, and suddenly it was clear that TV shows didn't have to be trash, that the episodic format could actually be used to give even more insight into characters, their trials and tribulations, etc. And it kept going from that point on. We saw more and more TV shows that delivered excellent drama like The Wire, Breaking Bad, etc. Looking at games now, it's clear to see that we're apparently moving back to the Stone Age of political correctness. I just watched a Dragon Age playthrough, and it's quite unfathomable how infantile and terrible the writing is. Everything feels sanitized and dehumanized. I don't know why we're suddenly thinking that this is okay. Your job as a writer is to write about things that are heartfelt, interesting, and true, to draw people into that world that you created, and if this is the best that you can come up with, you shouldn't be a writer in the first place. I hate to sound so harsh because I'm sure these people had the best intentions in mind. Newsflash, they didn't. But this is what happens when art is created by amateurs. When we have to walk on eggshells and don't dare to approach difficult subjects, you end up with a bland and bad product instead of art. Always approach writing from a human angle first, draw from your own experiences, and dare to approach subjects that might seem risky, because often magic happens when we're okay with making ourselves vulnerable. And this is exactly the same kind of rhetoric we've seen around games like Double Exposure, where the previous narrative director of that studio got yeeted due to the fact that he wanted to have very hard-hitting, controversial topics that would make people think and approach the player from a more mature standpoint and say, hey, you can handle these conversations. It's okay if we talk about these things without making everyone walk on eggshells. But again, this is the crap we're getting out of Dragon Age. It is pure propaganda. These people are mentally ill, and I cannot believe how much further this goes. Like, this is the well that never runs dry. Anyways, guys, I'm going to leave it right there. Let me know what you think about all this, and I will catch you on the next one. Alright, and if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching the video. Thank you for being here. I do have two channels, Minimal Effort Podcast, as well as my gaming channel. I do have a Twitch and Kick for my gaming channel. We do live streams over there occasionally, maybe once a week. And then if you are in the market for a new PC, make sure to check out Meta PCs. Click the link I have down below. Use code TBO at checkout for a special discount. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you next time.